This is Mel Ham's Math 222 for section 2.3 and maybe one more problem from 2.2. So 2.2 number 15, here's the progression of the functions. This is the standard radical x that you want to know, so I call that number 1. Then number 2, square root of negative x. So if you replace x by negative x, you get a reflection across the y-axis, so you have this one. And then graph number 3, x got replaced by parentheses x minus 2. That moves the graph 2 units to the right. The reason why I have it like that is because the square root of negative parentheses x minus 2 is the same as 2 minus x. And then the minus 1 moves the whole graph down 1. So finally, number 4 is the graph that we want, square root of 2 minus x minus 1. The domain of that function is from negative infinity up to positive 2, including 2. And the range is from negative 1 to infinity. The lowest y value is negative 1, goes up to infinity. Now for 2.3, combining functions. Number 1, I sent you that also by email or Canvas announcements, but I'll emphasize that again. You're given two functions, f and g. You're asking to add them, subtract them, multiply them, and divide them. Okay, so number 1 is fairly straightforward. If you add them up, it's just 2x plus x squared plus 1, or x squared plus 2x plus 1. Domain is all real numbers. F minus g, that minus that in parentheses, so 2x minus parentheses, x squared minus 1. Clean it up, negative x squared plus 2x minus 1. The domain is also all real numbers. There's no trouble here. You're not taking a square root of a negative. You're not dividing by anything. All real numbers. F times g, or fg, you just multiply. 2x times x squared plus 1 comes out to be 2x cubed plus 2x. Domain is again all real numbers. F divided by g is just that divided by that, 2x over x squared plus 1. The only trouble might be if the denominator is 0, but the denominator can never be 0. X squared plus 1 is always positive, so the domain is again all real numbers. And number 5 is a little bit harder. So f of x equals square root of x plus 1, g of x equals square root of 3 minus x. So you know there's going to be trouble once you have square roots. F plus g, just add them up. So square root of x plus 1 plus radical 3 minus x. To find the domain, well, you know that x plus 1 has to be greater than or equal to 0, and 3 minus x also has to be greater than or equal to 0. Solving this gives me x is greater than or equal to negative 1. Move the x over. 3 is greater than or equal to x, or x is less than or equal to 3. Both of these have to be true, so x greater than or equal to negative 1, and also x is less than or equal to 3. That gives me this region, so the domain is bracket negative 1, 3, bracket. F minus g, well, the only difference is that you put a minus sign. All the calculations are the same, so the domain is still going to be bracket negative 1, 3. F times g, I multiply square root of x plus 1 times 3 minus x. We can put them under 1, x plus 1 parentheses 3 minus x. Alright, and we want that expression to be greater than or equal to 0 to figure out its domain. So we have the sign chart business again. Put down negative 1, put down 3. They're closed circles because they give me 0 is greater than or equal to 0. Pick a number in region 1, region 2, region 3. Plug in negative 2. Negative 2 plus 1 is a negative. 3 minus a negative 2 is a positive. Negative times a positive is a positive. Is a positive greater than or equal to 0? No, that's false. Do not shade in region 1. Region 2, put a 0. 0 plus 1 is positive. 3 minus 0 is positive. Positive times a positive is a positive. Is a positive greater than or equal to 0? Yes, that's true. So I shade in region 2. Region 3, plug in 4. 4 plus 1, positive. 3 minus 4, negative. Positive times a negative is a negative. Is a negative greater than or equal to 0? No, that's false. Do not shade in region 3. So I just shade in region 2. So bracket negative 1, 3, bracket. And finally, f over g. Well, square root of x plus 1 over square root of 3 minus x, which is this thing. And you want that expression to be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, you can do the exact same analysis over here. One big difference is that 3 is not allowed because then you'll be dividing by 0. But if you do the exact same chart, sign chart as you had over here, everything else would be the same. So the only difference in the domain here is you would have bracket negative 1 comma 3 paren, because you're not allowed to plug in 3 here, although you are allowed to plug in 3 here. All right, and you're skipping problem 7 and skipping any of this stuff. We said we don't have to cover that. All right, so these are some notes for the next section, 2.3.